is looking at potentially closing some elementary schools on the east side as they try to deal with declining enrollment numbers. I'm KSL News Radio's Verl Johansson.
Second, Utah legislators are on Capitol Hill today for the interim session. They are looking at issues like expanding Medicaid coverage to incarcerated Utahns and transportation planning. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
Emergency crews are now blocking a right lane of traffic at this accident in Utah County southbound I-15 near University Parkway, Orem. It is causing just a little bit of backup in the area. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Keeping low 70s in the forecast today, but 80s tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
62 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national story.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivering a nighttime address and vowing Israeli forces will seize full control over the entire Gaza Strip by the end of the war. ABC's Patrick Reevell has details.
International pressure is continuing to mount on Israel to halt its new ground offensive in Gaza. And as it continues its 11-week blockade on aid, over 80 Palestinians were also reported killed today, according to Gaza's health ministry. Now, with international anger already intense, now today, Israeli troops have been accused of firing near a delegation of international diplomats while they were visiting an area in the West Bank. The diplomats were from France, Italy, Ireland, Turkey, India and China.
President Trump expected to meet with members of the Freedom Caucus this afternoon. The Republicans are not in support of the current GOP reconciliation budget bill, trying to get it on the House floor for a full vote. The Pentagon says Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has formally accepted the gifted luxury jet from Qatar. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Governor Spencer Cox has been hosting the U.S. Deputy Secretary of Labor today as they tour the Utah Electrical Training Alliance and talk about the importance of apprenticeships for America's workforce. Joining me now live is the U.S. Deputy Secretary of Labor, Keith Sonderling. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's an amazing time being here in beautiful Utah.
So tell us about what you noticed on your trip to Utah today.
Well, first of all, the absolute amazing weather and seeing the mountains everywhere I go is certainly a different change from Washington, D.C. But it was a great experience joining Governor Cox this morning at the Utah Electrical Training Alliance, where we saw firsthand how registered apprenticeships are really developing the future of our workforce. As more manufacturing jobs come back to the U.S. and specifically in Utah, we need the workers to be able to actually be out there and building these factories, to be wiring these factories. And the Registered Apprenticeship Program that the Department of Labor has instituted many, many years ago and has been successful for decades, we believe is the key to our growing economy across the U.S. and here in Utah.
How does this fit into the president's plan for more high-skilled trade jobs?
Well, within his first 100 days, the president issued an executive order calling for preparing Americans for high-paying skilled trade jobs of the future. And you think about all the priorities out of the White House in Washington, D.C., the fact that this one went out in the first 100 days shows the importance of what President Trump wants for the future of the workforce, and that's to get into apprenticeships. And he has set a target for the Department of Labor to reach at least 1 million apprenticeships every year on this. So we have a lot of work to do to convince employers to engage with the department, get in registered apprenticeship programs, and visiting the Utah Electrical Training Alliance, which is a beautiful facility where they have over 800 apprentices, is a great model for me to see, to take back to Washington, D.C. as we pitch to states across the United States to engage in more registered apprenticeship programs.
Yeah, explain what's different here in Utah and why this facility is kind of on the edge of what you need to have for these apprenticeships.
Well, first of all, Utah and Governor Cox have been very, very supportive of the Registered Apprenticeship Program. The governor's advocacy for the expansion of apprenticeships, especially youth apprentices, is evidenced through his support of various bills, both in the Senate and the House here, including an emphasis on career and technical education programs. So I have to give a lot of credit to the governor and for the Utah for really being ahead of the curve in registered apprenticeships, because as the workforce changes, as jobs for the future changes, no longer are those jobs going to require a traditional four-year degree. And there's just been such a push to get high school students into four-year colleges, go through that traditional path. But a lot of students, a lot of people just don't want to do that. They want to be out there and they want to be learning in hands-on trades and also be paid and learn while you earn. And that's why the apprenticeship programs are so great, and especially the one we visited today. It's just a modern, state-of-the-art facility where there's classrooms, There's actual getting out there and using the same high-tech equipment they'll be using, in constructing factories and buildings. So it's just a great pathway for so many students who want to start working right away. And also, we also learned today a lot of second career people who had desk jobs in finance, who have those college degrees and say, you know what, sitting behind a desk is not for me, and able to also get in these programs and have a very, very fulfilling career. So this fits in exactly what the president wants for registered apprenticeships in his new executive order. So it was really a privilege to see it firsthand.
Secretary, appreciate you being with me. Thank you. Joining me, U.S. Deputy Secretary of Labor, Keith Sonderling. Let's get you up to date with traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We have a crash in Utah County, southbound I-15 in Orem near University Parkway. Emergency crews have been blocking a right lane of traffic, so there's a little bit of backup, but no major delays. Salt Lake County freeways all clear and looking good. And we've also cleared out with delays on both north and southbound Highway 89 approaching the I-84 junction. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines, Utah Utility Pro, utahutilitypro.com. Ricky Neese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, 72 today, sunny skies, absolutely perfect. 84 tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, breezy out of the south. 81, mostly sunny on Friday. And then Saturday, I've increased the chances for a pop-up shower to 30%, 75. 79, mostly sunny skies on Sunday. Monday's mostly sunny, 86. We get hot, 89 on Tuesday, and partly cloudy skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
A lot of sunshine. 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs, all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multi-colored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19.95. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at ArcticSpasUtah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah, Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
And we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Watching Utah's money, Alphabet's company Waymo says it has reached 10 million trips in robo-taxis. CNBC reports this is nearly double the number of rides just 5 months ago. Waymo says it's averaging over 250,000 trips a week. Meanwhile, Tesla says it's going to give its robo-taxis a whirl in Texas. Elon Musk says the company will have 10 self-driving cars out on the roads in Austin by the end of June and increase the number to a few thousand within the next few months. Toyota is revamping the RAV4 and will exclusively offer it as a hybrid from now on. CNBC reports hybrid and electric vehicles accounted for 43.1% of the company's sales in 2024. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 784 points, nearly a full 2%, sitting at 41,888. S&P 500, it's down by 89 points. The NASDAQ is off by 1.25%, down 242 points.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a chronic migraine clinical trial. Located just minutes from Salt Lake City with plenty of free parking, this study is open to children ages 12 to 17 who suffer from chronic migraines. To pre-qualify, your child must have 8 or more migraine attacks each month and at least 15 headache days. They should also currently be taking or have taken Orem medication for migraine relief. All study-related visits, tests, and medications will be provided at no cost. Plus, reimbursement for study-related travel may also be available. As a parent, it's never easy to watch your child suffer. This is your chance to help them find relief. For more information, call Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's Pantheon Clinical Research, 385-281-0550. Or visit us online at pantheonclinical.com. Again, that's 385-281-0550. Or go to pantheonclinical.com.
We were living in D.C. and we were ready to buy our first house, but it was in Salt Lake City.
I found out through family that the house that my dad grew up in was put on the market.
We had less than 24 hours to put an offer in, and it happened to be on New Year's Eve.
So we immediately contacted our realtor. She was on it from the very beginning. We got the house.
We got the house. Being 2,000 miles away, our realtor really helped us. And there's no way we would have gotten the house if we didn't have our realtor.
Discover how a realtor can make a real difference at myrealtorstory.com.
Summer is almost here. It's time to get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Hey there. You're looking good. My name is Corey Sulian. My wife and I began our Soda weight loss journey on January 20th of this year. We have seen some amazing results. I have lost 59.4 pounds. My wife lost 30.3 pounds, and we feel great.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I love Soda Weight Loss. Thank you for helping to change our lives. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to lose weight or get healthy.
Get started now at SodaWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. What's happening on the roads, Ricky?
We still have crews working to clean up this crash in Utah County. Southbound I-15 near University Parkway in Orem. Most of the vehicles involved are over to the right shoulder, and it looks like emergency crews have started to open up that right lane of travel. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front, headed for a high today of 72 degrees. Just a lot of beautiful sunshine. Tomorrow, though, a few clouds, but warmer with a high of 84, but not a chance of rain. 81 on Friday. The weekend, a little bit unsettled with a slight chance of rain on Saturday and Sunday, but Monday looks great. Right now, 64 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Utah's election system needing some additional cybersecurity measures.
We are making a recommendation that statute go beyond where it currently is, prohibiting connections. We believe it could strengthen our system to prohibit the capability for connection.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, May 21st. It's midday. I'm Maria Chaleos. Coming up, more on the state's interim legislative session, including recommendations to make Utah's schools safer. Also this hour,
we want to keep different celebrations and different excitements and keep the smiles.
Utah high schoolers bringing inspiration to cancer patients through flowers. But first, our top stories. Unified Police have arrested a second 18-year-old accused of being part of a botched robbery that ended in a deadly shooting outside Kearns High School Sunday. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
This shooting happened when a guy selling champagne from his car met up with a car full of people at the Kearns High parking lot. Police say two suspects with ski masks, they got out of the car, they had guns. But then the champagne seller, he also grabbed a gun. Shots were fired, and one suspect went down. Police say the other guy with the ski mask was Tesfaye Shabi, and he and the other people in the car, they took off.
Court documents say the driver of the suspect's car, Brandon Hollins, was arrested Monday. Unified Fire Authority has arrested a 38-year-old woman in a suspected arson in Magna yesterday. Investigators believe that Alexis Crumback started a fire in the room that she was renting at 27th West and 91st South. Officials say that she had threatened to burn down the house after she gets out of jail, so she is being held without bail. Our top national story from ABC News. The Defense Department has accepted the Boeing 747 jet from Qatar that President Trump hopes to use as Air Force One. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell says in a statement that the DoD's acquisition of the Qatari 747 is in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. The Air Force now says it's preparing to award a contract to modify the jet to serve as a presidential aircraft. The details of that agreement, a spokesperson says, are classified.
The president has defended the gift as a way to save tax dollars. A federal judge says the Trump administration violated a court order on deportations to third countries with a flight linked to the African nation of South Sudan. That determination by a judge in Boston came hours after the administration said it had expelled 8 migrants convicted of violent crimes in the U.S. There's finally some good news out of West Texas as they grapple with the measles outbreak that has killed 2 people this year and sickened hundreds more. The pace of infections appears to be slowing.
Between last Friday and now, 4 new cases have been reported, bringing the total associated with the West Texas measles outbreak to 722. That's the smallest 4-day increase it all began. Most of the cases involve children, except in El Paso, where 2/3 of the people who have gotten sick are over 18.
That is ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 766 points, nearly 2%, sitting at 41,912. S&P 500 down by 85 points, the NASDAQ down by 231. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We have had a little bit of busy traffic north and southbound I-15 near the South Interchange in Murray, but no real delays. And the final cleanup of a crash southbound I-15 near University Parkway, Orem. Looks like everybody is now out of traffic on the shoulder. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We are enjoying a lot of sunshine today with a high of 72. A few clouds move in tomorrow, but warmer with a high of 84. Looks like the weekend just a little bit unsettled. Right now, 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's ALL to 321-321.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. A new report highlights cybersecurity weaknesses in Utah's election systems. Let's begin getting to the heart of the story, the findings and recommendations to further secure Utah's elections with Midday executive producer Andy Cupp. Andy?
So, Maria, the audit, which was discussed in this morning's Government Operations Interim Committee, it's a great name, they found several areas of recommendations for county clerks to help strengthen security in Utah's elections. Speaking before the committee, Jake Dinsdale, who's a senior audit supervisor, says Utahns should still be confident in the overall security of elections.
I want to emphasize up front here, there's a lot more going right with elections in Utah than wrong. We're proud to be a part of an effort to strengthen our processes and our system. This is certainly part of that. We've released multiple reports, as you all well know, touching on opportunities to improve, and this is just one more in that lineup.
Now, the audit didn't find any glaring errors or causes for super concern, but it did find a few areas where security could be strengthened. One of these dealt with wireless networking capabilities. So according to the audit, the election server in one county was built using an off-the-shelf laptop, which is pretty common practice, but it meant that the laptop had wireless internet components installed. So the computer had been properly configured, there were no internet connections, but the availability to turn those internet connections back on was still there. So the auditors were still concerned about those parts being there, something that is kind of expressly prohibited for elections equipment.
As the result of our testing with the experts that we contracted with, we found some concerns out of for the sake of the security of our system. We're not going to report specifics today when it comes to some of these cybersecurity threats, but I will say that we are making a recommendation that statute go beyond where it currently is, prohibiting connections. We believe it could strengthen our system to prohibit the capability for connection.
Another concern that they highlighted in the audit report dealt with the election workers' accounts and privileges to access information. Auditors found that in some cases, users had been granted access to system settings and configuration options that they shouldn't have had. They weren't necessary for their elections duties. The report says that in the worst case scenarios, quote, a malicious user could use such elevated privileges to make significant modifications to voting systems. The report does say, though, that additional controls like system logs and security cameras could help prevent those kinds of changes as well. Auditors also recommend that elections officials should create stronger passwords and update them more often. Responding on behalf of Utah's 29 county clerks, Weber County Clerk and Auditor Ricky Hatch was in that meeting, and he says that he and the other county clerks do appreciate this kind of an audit.
One reason why we're so glad to have this audit is because it was an objective way for folks to come in and take a look at the guts of the system, the guts of the process, and that they were people who were trained to do this examination. They were experts to examine in a way that we could trust the ability for them to dig into the system. So we really appreciate that.
The entire report is available online for the public. You can find it online by visiting le.utah.gov.
And at this point, just recommendations being made to the auditors.
Just recommendations. Because it is interim, there's no major actions that they will take from it at this point in time. But just looking back at 2024, the things that they found, these are their recommendations going forward.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Yep. Another report released during the state's legislative interim session took a look at several school buildings around the state and found multiple problems. And they weren't talking about older schools. They were either newly built or recently renovated schools. KSL News Radio's Virl Johansson reports.
The report reviewed 30 construction projects over the last 7 years. They found 87% of them weren't compliant with requirements because they either started building before getting a permit from the State Board of Education or they never got one. Auditors told lawmakers they had several independent inspectors review 5 schools to see if they were up to code.
What they determined was that, in general, the projects do meet the intent of providing safe, functional schools. However, there were some compliance issues, not only with reporting to USBE, but with actual code requirements.
Lead auditor Jacob Davis says the team found several issues, including flaws in firewalls that help prevent the spread of any potential fires in the school. House Speaker Mike Schultz says local school districts should be using independent inspectors to review school construction.
There are a lot of independent inspectors out there that can be hired, and I do think that is the way to make sure that the building codes get followed. I think that needs to happen and should be happening, quite frankly.
The report found some local school district officials also waived building code requirements, even though they had little to no expertise with construction. The report also found monthly inspection documents weren't always submitted to the State Board of Education, and even when they were, the reports were often incomplete, but the board didn't enforce any penalties. Utah State Board of Education Deputy Superintendent Scott Jones says they need more staff to oversee construction if the legislature decides to leave the responsibility with the board.
We are at a decisive point in the future of oversight of school construction. We'd like to work closely with the legislature on the recommendations that the auditors made to you to once and for all decide, where this best lies, right? Which agency.
The board will review the report's recommendations and come up with a plan by August 31st. Virl Johansson, KSL News Radio.
Stay with us. We'll have more news on President Trump's big, beautiful bill in just 60 seconds.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
The conservative House Freedom Caucus is demanding House GOP leaders delay plans to vote on President Trump's big, beautiful bill this week, saying they still need to hash out additional differences. They're expected to join Speaker Mike Johnson in a meeting at the White House today. It comes after President Trump spent time on the Hill yesterday trying to whip the votes. ABC's Jay O'Brien with more on what the president said.
His message was, don't stand in the way of my, quote, one big, beautiful bill, this vehicle for all of President Trump's campaign promises that have a legislative component, really his entire domestic agenda packed into one piece of legislation.
I think it's the most important bill this country just about has ever done in terms of size and scope. That's why we call it the great, big, beautiful deal. I mean, it really is.
And President Trump needed to come to the Hill because he really needed to be the closer for this bill.
Mr. President, what was your message to lawmakers?
It was really a meeting of unity. We had tremendous unity.
Speaker Mike Johnson does not have the votes right now to pass this bill. He's got roughly a dozen or so holdouts, from moderates who want changes to the state and local tax deduction. There are hardliners who want further cuts to Medicaid. There are other members who say they don't want many changes at all because they've been drafting this bill for months and it's the product of a lot of work. And so Donald Trump walks into the House Republican meeting with all of those various factions, and he essentially says, it is time to get this done.
Anybody that didn't support it as a Republican, I would consider to be a fool.
He opens the door up to some possible tweaks at the 11th hour because Johnson wants to put this bill on the floor as soon as today. But he really says that there's not going to be many changes. To those Republicans from states like New York and California who want a higher cap, as I said, on the state and local tax deduction, he told them to, quote unquote, move on and take the deal that's already on the table.
We don't want to benefit Democrat governors, although I would do that if it made it better, but they don't know what they're doing.
And for Republicans who want steeper cuts to Medicaid, his message to them was, quote, don't expletive with Medicaid, according to sources in this behind closed doors meeting.
What exactly is in the big, beautiful bill? The details are still being worked out, so things may change. But ABC's Jay O'Brien has a look at some of the key points.
So this is a massive package of legislation. It extends Trump's 2017 era tax cuts. It lifts federal income tax on tips and overtime. Those were key campaign promises. It's got about $50 billion in it to resume construction of a border wall. It slashes SNAP, which previously was called the Food Stamps Program, by about $200+ billion over a 10-year period. Wow. That has concerned some advocacy groups that I've talked to. Again, it has those Medicaid cuts in them, and hardliners are pushing for more. It raises the debt ceiling. It has defense spending in it. It's even got the creation of these so-called MAGA savings accounts for parents to open for their children. So again, it's this laundry list of things. It's not just the issues that are causing the most tension. And that's really what President Trump said to these holdouts is, do you want to stand in the way of all of these things that I promised the 70 million plus Americans who voted for me?
Coming up after the break, we will stick with politics for just a bit longer and talk about President Trump's announcement on the so-called Golden Dome. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
It's a delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways, but we still have the final cleanup of a crash in Utah County, southbound I-15 near University Parkway in Orem. It is mostly over to the right shoulder. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines, Utah Utility Pro. UtahUtilityPro.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day.
He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Change is always happening. Hey, it's a part of life. And when it comes to music, changes all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. But no matter how things change in 5 years, there's one thing that'll stay the same: the price of your internet. Xfinity introduces the 5-year price guarantee. It means you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with their best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals.
Summer is right around the corner.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss.
Today is a new day.
And a big day for you.
Why?
Why?
Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? And I did it without drugs, shots, or hunger. Because Soda Weight Loss works. Just look at all the Google reviews and all the thousands of before and after pictures.
Soda Weight Loss has one goal, and that's to help you let go of the weight for good.
So I lost 25 pounds. I was never hungry. It was very, very easy. I couldn't believe how fast the weight came off.
Now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Hurry. Savings won't last long.
Let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-859-6688. 800-859-6688. 800-859-6688.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. President Trump laying out his plans for the U.S. to have a kind of Golden Dome missile defense system similar to the one in Israel known as the Iron Dome. Telling reporters in the Oval Office that the multi-billion-dollar project will be completed within 3 years. The goal of the Golden Dome is to detect missiles coming towards the U.S., predict where they'll land, assess the threat level, and intercept the missile if it's deemed justified. Colonel Stephen Ganyard spoke with ABC's Brad Milkey analyzing the plans for the new Golden Dome missile defense system.
In recent months, when we talk about conflicts in the Middle East, you've probably heard this term, Iron Dome. That refers to this revolutionary technology that guards Israel against rocket attacks. Basically, a system of radars and rocket launchers that will automatically detect a projectile coming across Israel's borders, launch a rocket of its own, and explode that projectile in midair. Sometimes it can take down several of these things in just a few seconds. That's been in place for more than a decade now. Well, yesterday, President Trump announced that he wants his own version of the Iron Dome. He's calling it the Golden Dome.
I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack.
And that's what we're doing.
And as we're talking about Congress finding billions in cuts to America's social safety net, Trump is talking about spending billions on this here and now. Let's go to Colonel Stephen Ganyard. He's a former Marine and State Department official. He's now an ABC News contributor. Colonel Ganyard, can you just walk us through the plan that President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth kind of outlined yesterday?
Yeah, what he's proposing, Brad, is something that was actually proposed long ago and something that the U.S. has been working on for a long time. And that is the ability to first detect launches of missiles that may be inbound to the United States from whatever enemy that might be. In the past, it was Russia, and now it's Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles, even if they are launched from other sides of the world, and even if they are launched from space.
So a lot has changed since all of this started with Ronald Reagan.
I am directing a comprehensive and intensive effort to define a long-term research and development program to begin to achieve our ultimate goal of eliminating the threat posed by strategic nuclear missiles.
But that's the idea, is that layered defenses in space to be able to detect, track, and defend against all kinds of missiles, which means intercontinental ballistic missiles, it means cruise missiles, it means submarine launch missiles, it means everybody's heard about these hypersonic missiles, it means those kind of hypersonic glide vehicles. It's all sorts of missiles. Anybody that wants to shoot anything at the United States, the intent here is to be able to defend against those threats.
Well, wait, and the Iron Dome thing in Israel, that's like there's rocket launchers on the ground, they launch it up. This, and even when you were talking about back in the 80s, I think we called it Star Wars, the Star Wars system, because of this idea that you'd shoot them from space. Like, am I getting that right? Like, you literally have missiles in space and you shoot them down, pew, pew, at missiles as they race to the U.S.?
Yeah, right now, the U.S. has no capability to have on-orbit interceptors. So that is some Buck Rogers stuff that's going to need tens of billions of dollars and years to develop. So it's a good idea. It's going to take a long time. It'll be a question whether, if there's an eventual Democratic president, that's where they want to put their money. But for now, this is what President Trump wants.
We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland.
It doesn't mean the technology is there. So when he talks about this will be all in place by the time he leaves office, there will be some system in place, but it certainly won't defend the U.S. against all the threats that are out there from particularly Russia and China.
Right, and if we make one of these systems, do they make one of these systems? Like, then you get an arms race in space. You mentioned money, Colonel. President Trump has talked about $25 billion allocated to this in this budget bill that Congress is working on right now. We just talked about it. He says that would be the beginning of a larger investment. How much money would this end up potentially taking?
Well, they're throwing around $500, $600 billion, but anything that goes on in space tends to be a lot more than that. Space is very expensive. Space is hard. Doing things in space, it takes lots of multiple trips to space to figure things out. Mm-hmm. Now, what has changed since the Reagan years is SpaceX. So whatever anybody might think about Elon Musk is responsible for the U.S.'s ability to launch very cheaply satellites into what's called low Earth orbit. If you're in low Earth orbit, you're much closer to where the threats may be flying, and so you're able to find them and track them in ways that were never available, not even conceivable, during the Reagan administration. So a lot has changed in terms of the technology. The capabilities have improved since those years, but it's still, the threat has gone from just being Russia to now being Russia, North Korea, Iran, and in particular, China.
And by the way, our own Karen Travers was in the Oval asking President Trump, why the need for this now? And President Trump said, we just don't have anything that protects us from these long-range missiles right now. There's just no sort of safety net. I mean, the U.S. military has said that they have ground interceptors capable of shooting down North Korean ICBMs. They say we've got a multi-layered defense system that can knock down a lot of things as they come to this country. I mean, what is the current vulnerability of the U.S. and how much would this step it up?
The only thing we have right now, Brad, are missiles that are in the ground in Poland and Romania that are intended to protect both Europe and the United States from Iranian missile attacks. We also have in-ground missiles in particularly Alaska that will protect us from North Korean missiles. They will not protect us from Chinese missiles. They will not protect us from Iranian missiles, and they're still fairly rudimentary.
Was
Yeah,
it something
please
that
go ahead.
military commanders asked you for? Did they ask you to do this?
Well, let me put it differently. I suggested it, and they all said, we love the idea, sir.
So the ability to scale this up is the real question, and why that's going to be so hard. If you think about the parts of Israel where people are, where the Israelis need to protect from incoming ballistic missiles, is about the size of a medium-sized city in the United States. So you take that and you multiply that by the size of the whole United States, and you see how daunting this task is to protect the whole country.
Right, and this was always the dig at Star Wars, was it will take so much money, and you won't really know if it works until you spent all this money on it. Then, if you're finding out, oh, it's not working that well, you'll end up spending even more money to make it better. And there is a point at which you're just like, oh, no, what if we just wasted so much cash? Colonel Stephen Ganyard, thanks so much for walking us through it.
Thanks, Brad.
That was ABC's Brad Milkey on the Start Here podcast, speaking with Colonel Stephen Ganyard. A federal judge is demanding more information about a deportation flight that attorneys say is bound for South Sudan. More from ABC's Terry Moran, who says the case involves two migrants who had no ties to the African country.
According to the New York Times, Judge Brian Murphy said sending the migrants to South Sudan would likely violate an order he issued last month that directed the administration not to remove individuals to any other country beyond the two they are allowed to designate in immigration proceedings without giving them at least 15 days to challenge their removals. An attorney for the Justice Department says the migrant from Myanmar has been returned to that country, but he is declining to share any information about the other individual. And when asked by the judge where the plane is, the DOJ lawyer responded, "I'm told that information is classified, and I'm told that the final destination is also classified."
Attorneys for the migrants also say the Trump administration is trying to deport people to Libya, another country in North Africa. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Chaleos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Why some coffee shops in Salt Lake City are going offline. Cancer patients getting hope and inspiration from high school students. And KSL traffic. Ricky?
We do have the final cleanup of the earlier crash in Utah County, southbound I-15, University Parkway in Orem. Those ramps are also stacking up with heavy traffic. If you're trying to get off of I-15 at University Parkway, be aware of the backups. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. For the second time this week, President Trump is meeting with Republicans trying to shore up support for the GOP budget reconciliation bill. He's meeting this afternoon with holdouts of the Freedom Caucus at the White House. House Speaker Mike Johnson, meantime, downplaying the troubles over the spending cuts and tax breaks.
There's a lot of listening and a lot of discussion. It's been very productive. The guys that still have concerns we're working through. Everybody around here knows this is the process. This is what we do. It's a very deliberative, slow process sometimes. Sometimes it goes slower than most of us want, but that's how the founders designed this.
The Pentagon confirming it has accepted the Qatari plane offered as a gift to the U.S. to use temporarily as Air Force One. That plane still needs to be retrofitted. Louisiana authorities say they've arrested 2 people for assisting several of the inmates who escaped the Orleans jail Friday. 5 inmates have been captured. 5 others remain on the loose. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Gangs in Utah aren't just getting younger, they are getting harder to track. Salt Lake Police Gang Unit Officer Robert Titch says loyalty to a single gang isn't what it used to be, and that's making investigations even tougher.
Traditionally, gang investigations were we could look into this group, and members of this group would stay with this group for their life, where now kids are what we call hood hopping. They may be associated with this group, and a week later they're associated with this group.
Police say switching gangs for social status is fueled by online influence and makes gang crime less predictable and more dangerous. Other local stories KSL is following. More elementary schools could be closing in Utah, this time on the east side of the Granite School District. KSL News Radio's Verl Johansson has more.
District spokesperson Andrea Stringham says they're looking at enrollment numbers and building conditions for 10 elementary schools. She says they are not going to close all 10 schools, but could close some of them based on the results of a population analysis study. Stringham says no one likes to close schools, but sometimes it's needed to provide the best education to students.
The district is holding an open house tonight at Wasatch Junior High School to answer questions and get feedback. That starts at 6 o'clock. The Salt Lake City School District says it's saving hundreds of thousands of dollars since closing 4 elementary schools last year. Spokesperson for the Salt Lake City School District, Yandri Chatwin, says it costs on average around $680,000 a year to operate a school.
Right now, since we are still using those buildings for professional development, for office space, for different employees, we are still incurring utility costs, heating and cooling, that sort of thing.
But Chatwin says they are saving around $300,000 to $400,000 per school on salary costs. A feasibility study will be done later this year to help determine what's next for the properties. A street sweeper on I-15 was hit by a car while trying to clean up a different crash in southern Utah this morning. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
The first crash involved a stolen pickup truck going southbound on I-15 in Leeds. It went off the road and rolled over the concrete barrier into the northbound lanes. After everyone was taken to the hospital and the vehicle was cleared, UHP Lieutenant Cam Roden says a street sweeper came in to clean up the debris.
They were in that left-hand lane with their lighting equipment on, advising traffic that they were sweeping that roadway.
That's when the sweeper was hit by a Nissan car, which spun sideways and was then hit by another vehicle. The crash blocked 2 left lanes and both shoulders, leaving only 1 lane available for traffic to pass by. The driver of the second vehicle had minor injuries, while the Nissan driver is in critical condition. The street sweeper operator was not injured. Heather Kelly, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is headed for its worst day in a month. Right now, down 813 points, sitting at 41,863. S&P 500 down by 95. The NASDAQ is off by 280 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
What's left of this Orem crash is pulling away as we speak, southbound I-15 by University Parkway. So we're back to a quiet drive on all the Valley freeways. However, we do want to give you a heads up. If you're traveling south, going from Carbon into Emery County, we do have a crash on Highway 6 that has closed that road in both directions in Emery County. So you do want to use caution and use another route if your drive takes you in that area. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures climbing. Expect the high tomorrow to be more than 10 degrees warmer than today. 72 for a high today, 84 tomorrow. And then we do have a chance of showers coming our way on Saturday. Right now, 65 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Looking for a university that offers more than just a degree? Welcome to Utah Tech University in St. George, Utah, one of the fastest growing universities in the nation. With more than 300 academic programs, 300 days of sunshine, the most engaged student life in the state, and Utah's most affordable university tuition, Utah Tech is where opportunity meets value. Utah Tech's Polytechnic mission means you'll gain real-world skills through internships, mentorships, partnerships, and hands-on learning that gets you career-ready from day one. And the nation is taking notice. Utah Tech was recently named one of the country's most prestigious universities, driving student success and career growth, ranked 21st in the nation for value, and recognized as one of 10 prominent universities to watch. Come see why students are thriving at Utah Tech, where it's all about active learning, active life. Visit utahtech.edu today and start your journey.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture with daily use.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. More and more coffee shops are ditching the Wi-Fi, hoping to both keep customers moving and to help people be more social. Yesterday, we shared the story of one Salt Lake City coffee shop that has ditched the Wi-Fi and doesn't regret it. Then we asked you to chime in and tell us if you thought it was time to unplug. On our Facebook poll question, roughly 2/3 of the respondents said, yep, it's time to ditch the Wi-Fi. Some of you commented as well. Alan says that if they don't have Wi-Fi, people will go somewhere else and coffee shops will start closing fast. Mark worries that turning off the Wi-Fi won't force people to socialize. They'll just get it to go. Heidi says she rarely uses Wi-Fi at coffee shops, opting for her phone's data instead. And Anne says she thinks coffee shops are only cutting Wi-Fi so people won't camp out and work on their laptops. We wanted to dig into this just a bit more with someone who has experience operating both kinds of shops. Nick Price is the owner of 2 cafes in Salt Lake City, 3 Pints Coffee on Main Street, which doesn't have Wi-Fi, and Holy Water near the University of Utah, which does have Wi-Fi. Nick, thanks for talking with me today. And first off, why does one of your shops have Wi-Fi and the other one doesn't?
Well, thanks for talking to me. This is like a pretty complex situation that we have going on here. And I mean, the reason that 3 Pines doesn't have Wi-Fi is because it's just a very small space. We only have about 12 seats inside, and we didn't want people to be posted up on laptops there. It's just so small. But Holy Water, which is relatively new, is a much bigger space, and with it's closer up to the university. So we figured we should strategically place outlets and have areas where people could kind of post up and do some work or do some studying and use Wi-Fi.
Okay, so first of all, on 3 Pines, are people annoyed that you don't have Wi-Fi there?
Not at all. And people can still come in and do some work and use their hotspot. That's not a problem. Where we kind of draw the line and what I think is becoming the bigger issue is people, well, 2 things. People staying for too long and not purchasing another beverage or pastry or something and just sort of camping out. That's an issue. But the bigger issue to me is people taking work calls or Zoom meetings, things like that with, inside of the coffee shop with other customers sitting around them. I just find that terribly just rude.
Yeah, it really changes the experience if you're trying to have a conversation and the person next to you is talking on the phone quite loudly.
Yeah, and they've got a headset on, so they're not aware of how loud they're being, and they kind of just take over the space, and it's just terribly awkward.
And they don't read the room, right?
Exactly.
So do you think not having Wi-Fi at coffee shops actually helps people to socialize and connect with others more?
I wish that were the case, but I don't think it's that easy. I think that, like some of the people that chimed in, said that if you don't have Wi-Fi, they might just go somewhere else or they might just grab it to go. It's not exactly cultivating this like social experience. But I think there's sort of an area here where you can have, you can kind of have both. You have a happy medium. That's what we're trying to do at Holy Water. And I don't know the exact answer. It's a work in progress. Mm-hmm. But I think that, maybe limiting Wi-Fi or just, even doing this interview hopefully is helping. People are listening to this, and I would like to say to them, if you are going to come to a shop and post up and get on your laptop and use Wi-Fi, just be mindful. Be aware of the environment that the coffee shop owners and management have created. Be aware of the music that the baristas are playing and try to engage with the space and engage with the beverage that you were served, because I can tell you a lot of time and energy and care and love goes into making this experience great, and you're kind of ruining it by taking your Zoom call in the middle of my coffee shop.
So you're kind of telling them to live in the moment.
Yeah, like let's socialize if you're up for it. If not, just at least be present. Drink your coffee and actually experience the flavor. Think about your day and what's going on and the people around you, and just be a little more mindful that, we're kind of all in this together. It's not an entirely comfortable experience, but we are trying to enjoy ourselves. We're trying to enjoy each other and the environments that we get to come in and hang out in. So, just be mindful of each other.
All right, Nick, thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you.
Nick Price is the owner of 3 Pines Coffee and Holy Water in Salt Lake City. And again, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Coming up, Midday with Maria Chaleos continues in 1 minute.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain, and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Los Angeles is working to regain its image as the film capital of the world. Start Here host Brad Milkey explains.
Hollywood, Tinseltown, the most iconic place in the film universe. The place where people line up to take tram rides through your lots. The inspiration for love letters like La La Land.
What a waste of a lovely night.
Well, recently, more and more film people have said the dream of movie making in L.A. is dying. In fact, yesterday, the city's own mayor seemed to agree.
We've taken the industry for granted.
In a news conference, Karen Bass seemed to recognize what filmmakers have been saying for years, that the city with the most entertainment professionals on Earth has become one of the toughest in which to make a movie.
Why do I shoot my game show, the American Game Show, The Floor in Ireland?
On his podcast, Literally, the actor Rob Lowe recently made news talking with his former Parks and Recreation co-star Adam Scott about how quiet it seems on Hollywood lots lately.
That's interesting that you shoot The Floor there. It's cheaper to bring 100 American people to Ireland than to walk across the lot, right? Fox, right? Past the sound stages and do it there. Crazy. Do you think if we shot Parks right now, we would be in Budapest? 100% we would be.
Now, why this is depends on who you ask. Some will tell you because other cities and other countries are offering way better incentives to film crews, tax write-offs. Others will point to broader issues like streaming wars, writers' strikes, even the fires in Los Angeles recently decimated the movie-making economy. Whatever the cause, though, yesterday, Bass launched new efforts to get those productions back.
And so I will be signing a new executive directive that will make it far easier to film in Los Angeles. Movies, television shows, and commercials right here.
She decreed new tax incentives for companies that shoot in L.A., similar to what we've seen in New York and Atlanta and Hungary. Hollywood veterans say those are the biggest differences in their bottom line, but they're not the only differences.
So the new executive order will provide easier access to iconic city locations like the Central Library, the Port of Los Angeles, and Griffith Park Observatory.
The ability to shoot on location can make or break a film. It did for La La Land. Fees for these locations will now be lowered, and so will the red tape. But city officials have pointed out how much of their local economy has faltered along with the film industry.
This is not about executives. This is about carpenters, about craft services, about all-night dry cleaners.
Los Angeles staked its reputation on being different, special. But without a plot twist, it risks an Angelino's worst nightmare. The city risks becoming just another day player.
You didn't know that about LA, did you? This weekend is the unofficial start of summer, and many Utahns get out into the outdoors on Memorial Day weekend. The weather over the next few days probably will have you itching to get outside, too. Now, this leads us to today's question of the day. What is your favorite national and or state park in Utah, and why? You can give us your answer on the KSL News Radio app, by phone, or on our social media channels. It's easy to respond on the app. Just open the app, and at the bottom, you'll see the call-in tab. Just click on that, tell us your first name and where you're calling from, and then give us a quick response to the question. You can also leave us a message at 801-575-4606 or check out the KSL News Radio social media accounts. Remember, today's question is, what is your favorite national and or state park in Utah, and why? Coming up, local high schoolers making flowers and cards for Utahns dealing with cancer. We'll share their story. But first, let's update traffic with Ricky Meese, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We are back to a crash-free commute on all the Valley freeways. We've had a little bit of busy traffic southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County going through Draper, but no delays. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you've been listening to all of the commercials about all of the different weight loss programs, but you've yet to decide which one you want to settle with, I want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. This program helps you lose weight very quickly, and it's all natural. So you don't have to worry about all the side effects from injections, surgery, or medications. It's just a simple combination of foods. Plus, it's not as expensive as some of these other programs because there are no prepackaged meals or other products that you're required to buy. For me, it's been so easy to stick with because I lost the weight quickly. I've lost more than 40 pounds on this program, and it's simple to follow, just a simple combination of foods that melt that stored fat quickly. Just go to slcfatloss.com to learn more. Right now, you could save $200. Call them at 801-450-1882 or go to slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Eye on Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And over the years, I've loved sharing military stories with my neighbor Greg, a battle-tested former Army Ranger. He's a barbecue master and always welcomes us over. As it's Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants all active duty, veterans, and family to know that they're always eligible to join. Because at Navy Federal, our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-859-6688. 800-859-6688. 800-859-6688.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Repair or replace your roof now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. 12 months interest-free financing. The highest value roofing job in Utah. Dial pound 250 and then say S&S Roofing.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Going through cancer treatments is one of the hardest things a person may experience in their lives, and is even harder for kids and families experiencing the challenges of cancer. High school students in Roy are using their horticulture skills to try and brighten the day of those with cancer. It's part of a new partnership between Roy High School and Common Spirit Holy Cross Jordan Valley Hospital. Julie Stedman is the manager of the cancer center there at the hospital.
I stepped into this role as manager, and then shortly after realized that I had missed a deadline to order some daffodils for our patients for the daffodil days that we can give to our patients. So with that, you just need to do something. You need to start. And our patients are just so amazing that the thought came in to call my son, who is the floriculturist at Roy High School, and he would always tell me about how amazing his students are and how they're making these beautiful flower arrangements and learning new things and then taking them out into the communities to make people smile. And I said, hey, we have an opportunity. Would you help our cancer patients here at the hospital? And not even a hesitation. He said, absolutely. So he got it going, he got it started, and then I knew that process was in capable hands. So we talked a little bit back and forth. And then right before he came down to deliver him, in the middle of a snowstorm, I should say, he said, I also had the kids made some cards. So the cards that they made, and he said, they did a great job. They worked on them a lot. So he handed them to me, and unfortunately it was at a time where it was after school, so our patients were done for the day. So he asked me, he's like, please let me know what they say, how they responded. And of course I had to tell him the amazing experience that these kids did for our patients. So when I looked at the cards, I was so touched about the kindness and the genuine caring that they had for a stranger. And they were so excited to give flowers and not only that, but hope and words and their hearts. And I read them and I was so touched. I was so touched by them that they didn't just help the patients, they helped me.
Julie mentioned Daffodil Days. For those who don't know, daffodils are the symbolic flower for cancer. Daffodil Days are celebrated every spring to honor and inspire those with cancer. Colton Smith is the agriculture teacher and FFA advisor at Roy High School. He says the whole project wasn't just for the patients, it was also inspiring for his students.
You know, as a teacher, it was actually a really neat experience because I've always wanted my classes to be meaningful to my students. I've wanted to give them hands-on projects that's impactful. And so having that conversation and finding out that, you know, these cancer patients loved the flowers, it meant a lot to them, and to see the pride in the kids, I think that was the best part, is the kids are very proud of what they did, and, you know, saying that they did something meaningful was really cool as a teacher, to know that the kids had a good experience and the patients had a good experience.
Those students wrote cards for complete strangers. What do you say to someone you don't know who's experiencing the hardship of cancer? Roy High student Briley Smith had that very same concern.
For my personal experience, it was a little hard just to find the right words to say, but it was mostly like encouragement and letting them know how strong they are and that they're not alone and that they just got this. They are so strong for what they go through. So that's what we mostly wrote in the cards, that, you know, we are making these for you because, like, we are thinking of you and you guys are so strong and we just want to make your day better. So that's what we would write in the card.
Briley says the whole experience was even more special to her given her family's bouts with cancer.
I have had a few grandparents who have had cancer, so I know, like, the struggles of the journey and just how, like, so many, like, small things can make their day brighter, and it can give them hope and comfort.
Julie says the patients have loved the kind thoughts, both in the flower arrangements and the cards, especially since they came from complete strangers.
When the flowers were given to them, we just said, before you leave, we have something we want to give you, and explained to them that the amazing students at Roy High School made them a beautiful flower arrangement and a card. And you could tell instantly that their smile went from, I've got this, to one of awe. They were so touched. Like, the smile turned instantly hopeful, instantly meaningful, and there were tears and almost a shock for me. You know, that sense of, really, for me, they would do that for me.
She says this won't be a one-time thing. A new long-term partnership is already blooming between the school and the Cancer Center, one that will blossom into a beautiful site for years to come.
We've talked about different ways of ways to celebrate the Roy High School kids as well as our patients. So they had talked about in their classes about doing welcome flowers, doing event flowers. So when we have our patients come back and do events, that we can have flowers from the kids. Congratulations on finishing. Maybe family members that don't get to finish their treatments, but they can still have a part of the flowers, of the congratulations on how far you've come, and giving to all the myriad of kids that we can offer them to. So yes, we don't want to stop just at Daffodil Days, because it has meant so much. We want to continue it going. We want to keep different celebrations and different excitements and keep the smiles.
Julie Stedman, the manager of the Cancer Center at Common Spirit Holy Cross Jordan Valley Hospital, sharing what the students at Roy High have been doing to really brighten the lives of patients.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The unofficial start to summer coming this weekend with heavy traffic expected.
Try to do your best to avoid those peak travel times, but if you're stuck in it, realize that everybody else is in the same boat, and do yourself and others a favor by being a courteous driver.
The time is 2 o'clock on Wednesday, May 21st. It's midday. I'm Maria Chaleos. Coming up, we have tips for you to how to have the best Memorial Day weekend possible. Also this hour,
there's a lot of fields out there that our students can qualify for and have opportunities for that are going to be very beneficial for them and a good fit for them.
Preparing students for the best choice post-high school. But first, our top stories. The suspect accused of lighting a house on fire in Magna has now been identified. Police say 38-year-old Alexis Crumback was renting a room there, and people were inside when that fire started. KSL News Radio's Virl Johansson reports.
Unified Fire Authority responded to the house fire off Magna Main Street yesterday morning. Officials say Alexis Crumback started the fire in the basement before taking off. Crews were able to contain the fire there, but officials estimate the damages will cost a minimum of $25,000 to repair. They say no one was hurt in the fire, though some residents were treated for smoke inhalation. Unified Fire says they were able to work with Unified Police to find and arrest Crumback. Officials say because the fire was intentionally set while people were inside, Crumback was booked into jail with charges of aggravated arson. Virl Johansson, KSL News Radio.
Health advocates are worried proposed work requirements for Medicaid will do more harm than good. Lawmakers say requiring those who receive Medicaid to also work will increase health outcomes and provide with a sense of purpose. But Voices for Utah Children Executive Director Mo Hickey says says most people on Medicaid in Utah who don't work are senior citizens, people with disabilities, and caregivers, all people who cannot work.
What we're doing is we're taking insurance away from the most vulnerable part of our population, which again is going to result in bad health outcomes.
Exemptions can be claimed for those who can't work, but in a post from Voices, they point out it may be hard for people who do not own a computer, have access to the internet, or have a low understanding of the health system to claim these exemptions. Our top national story from ABC News. House Republicans are still hoping that they can come together to pass President Trump's budget bill.
For now, the chair of the conservative House Freedom Caucus says he's a no without more spending cuts. But ahead of talks at the White House, the House Speaker continued to sound a note of optimism. Mike Johnson told reporters that very productive conversations are still underway with the GOP holdouts.
The guys that still have concerns we're working through, everybody around here knows this is the process. This is what we do.
A White House statement says failure to pass the package would amount to the ultimate betrayal. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
The Pentagon says Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has accepted a gifted Boeing 747 from Qatar for President Trump to use as Air Force One. A spokesman said today that the department will work to ensure proper security measures on the aircraft to make it safe for use by the president. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day down more than 800 points, down 816 points, nearly 2%, sitting at 41,860. S&P 500 down by 95 points. The NASDAQ is down by 270 points. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We do have a new crash. It's in Draper on southbound I-15 near 114th South with vehicles to the left and right shoulders. No lanes are blocked for now, but we're still waiting for emergency crews to arrive at the scene. Lagoon is hiring ride maintenance technicians and electricians with journeyman or apprentice-level experience. Apply online today at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 or older to apply. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A lot of sunshine over the next couple of days. Today's high 72, but up to 84 tomorrow, 81 on Friday. Very slight chance of rain on the weekend. 65 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? That could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours. Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
With next-level tech and safety features, Hyundai cars and SUVs give you the confidence to boldly journey wherever life takes you. Advantages include our available class-exclusive digital key and available remote start parking assist. And because we want the road ahead to be as worry-free as possible, every Hyundai also comes complete with America's Best Warranty, a 10-year or 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. It's time you took a test drive of your favorite Hyundai today, only at your Utah Hyundai dealers.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the Knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information. And never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Thanks for tuning into Midday with Maria Shilaos. We are expecting Americans to break travel records this Memorial Day. That means expect a lot of company during the high-impact driving times of the Memorial Day weekend. AAA says it expects more than 45 million people will venture more than 50 miles from their homes in between Thursday and Monday, most of them in cars. The heart of this story is your patience. You've heard it before, and we'll say it again. You better pack your patience. Utah Public Relations Director John Gleason says, brace yourself.
We've gotten off easy the last few holidays, but this one, talking to our traffic engineers, really looks like we're going to see heavy traffic throughout the state. And it makes sense because this is really the unofficial kickoff of summer for a lot of families. A lot of kids are out of school. People want to get out of town, heading to St. George, Las Vegas, Bear Lake, and really all parts of the state and beyond. And so we're going to see a lot of traffic out there. We are anticipating delays, and some of the worst delays we could see on the Monday coming back into the valley. US 6, we're anticipating up to almost an hour of delays at certain points throughout the day, and that could ruin a vacation for a lot of people. So we're asking people to plan ahead and really give yourself some extra time and maybe consider traveling on those off hours.
On Friday, Gleason says you're going to find the biggest backups on southbound I-15.
Southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County, we could see from anywhere from 30-minute delays to beyond if you get a crash or two mixed in there. And that's going to start at about noon and continue on through about 8 p.m. But the main area to avoid travel, if you can, is about 3 to 6 p.m. on Friday afternoon. And then again down in Nephi on I-15 heading southbound, people are heading to St. George or Las Vegas or California, we could see up to 25-minute delays between noon and 8 p.m. And this is where it bogs down a little bit. It bottlenecks because it reduces lanes right there near Nephi. And so that's why you see some of the backups right there.
But he says Friday isn't so bad if you leave during those off-peak hours.
The good news about Friday travel, there will be a lot of people out there, but there are also people that are taking off on Thursday. They're going to make it a 4-day holiday, and so they're taking off a day before, and so that typically will stagger the times that people are traveling. But we are still anticipating heavy delays on Friday. So if you can avoid traveling between, I'd say probably 3 to 6 p.m. are going to be the main times of concern. And if you get even if it's a fender bender, then traffic can snarl up, and response to clear the crash can be a little bit more as well if people are backed up there. And so it's a good reminder that everyone wants to get out and they want to enjoy the first, unofficial weekend of summer. Everybody has plans, but just remember that it's not just you. Everybody else wants to get to where they're going safely as well.
And Gleason says, don't wait until late in the day on Monday to return home. That's when you could see some huge delays, especially on Highway 6.
Yes, it's frustrating being stuck in traffic. Try to do your best to avoid those peak travel times, but if you're stuck in it, realize that everybody else is in the same boat, and do yourself and others a favor by being a courteous driver. Get yourself and your family to where you're going safely, but also look out for the other people on the road.
AAA says the worst of the traffic will be in the afternoon and evening hours. If you're heading down to Utah's largest national park, you're going to see even more crowds. Public Affairs Specialist Matthew Fink tells KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson this is the busiest weekend of the year at Zion National Park.
Last year we recorded, I think, 92,000 visitors over Memorial Day weekend, which is more than the annual total of over 150 sites within the National Park Service. Again, in one weekend we surpassed the annual visitation for a lot of national park sites. So, we just want people to come enjoy the park, of course, but also to be prepared, be prepared for long lines, traffic, waits at our shuttle stops, And yeah, just get ready for the weather too. Always want people to come prepared with plenty of water, salty snacks, dressing appropriately for the sun with, sunscreen and hats and long sleeves, long pants if they're going to be out in the sun for a while. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic weekend to celebrate that holiday while inviting folks into the park.
He says despite worries about federal budget cuts, they will not be short-staffed.
Zion continues to operate at the level that we typically operate for this time of year. We're expanding hours as we do every year for our visitor center, our Human History Museum, our shuttle service. So we will be operating as we do every year.
Fink says Zion gets more visitors over Memorial Day weekend than many other national parks get all year. So they need all the manpower they can get.
What we call Zion Canyon is the busiest part of the park. It's the part of the park that everybody maybe knows the best. It extends from our visitor center all the way up to the Temple of Sinawava as it, rolls into the Narrows. That entire area of the park will be full of people. So I think one big thing for people to understand is that a lot of people come to the national parks expecting a certain level of solitude in the wilderness. Parks have a reputation for man alone with nature, but on a busy weekend like Memorial Day weekend in Zion, there are going to be lots of people around, no matter what trail you're on, especially, like I said, in Zion Canyon, which is our most visited area of the park. That being said, we also have Kolob Canyons up in the northwest area of the park. That will certainly see heavy visitation as well as our east side, like our Canyon Overlook Trail is always very popular. So it'll be popular throughout the park, but I would say Zion Canyon itself will see a concentration of visitors.
They also have to collaborate with neighboring Springdale officials and police force to get extra assistance during the busiest times at the park.
Zion National Park works with the city of Springdale, our gateway community. We have a very close relationship with them, with the mayor, the police department, and yes, we're back and forth pretty consistently, throughout any normal week, but especially on a weekend like Memorial Day weekend. We'll be in close contact with them as far as if the line to get in the park extends past a certain point, the Springdale lets us know and we deal with it appropriately. So yeah, we definitely talk to Springdale quite a bit to help keep things safe and running smoothly and efficiently for everybody. Nobody wants to stay in a line for hours at a time and block other people from getting through to maybe their homes or to go get a coffee or go to Subway. So it is, something that is necessary to keep everything running smoothly.
During the summer months, Zion expands their visitor center hours and operates additional programs. But Fink says if you're coming down this weekend, remember to pack your patience to deal with the long lines and the crowds. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on water levels in just 60 seconds.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lots of folks heading out into Utah's great outdoors this holiday weekend, but if you're one of those people heading to Lake Powell, you need to know the water level is low. KSL meteorologist Kevin Eubank says the current level isn't great.
Last year's peak happened at the elevation of 3587. When you look at this year's low, well, that's right now. We're at 3557, 30 feet lower than our peak last year. And the reason for that is we have to mandate, there's federally mandated outflow on the lake. So we have to pass water through the power generators and downstream. The problem? Inflow projection for this year is only 62% of normal, which means The projected peak will likely be at 3580, which is about 7 feet lower than where we were last year. It could have been worse, but at least the upper Colorado had a little water in it to help us get some in. But Lake Powell, it is low, only 37% full.
Kevin says it's going to take some winters with a lot of snowfall to help get the lake levels back up to normal. Stay with us, still to come. Gephardt is talking about a guy who the federal government thought was dead, but it's not. We're going to have more on his story and what it took him to get his VA benefits back. But first, let's check your traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
The cleanup continues of a crash on southbound I-15 in Draper near 114 South. We did have vehicles on both sides of the road on the shoulders. Did cause a little bit of backup, but that is now easing and traffic moving through the area again. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com. Affordable windows guaranteed. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Have a minute?
I love Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News. It's more of a personal take on the news from Jeff.
Get caught up on the latest news and hear Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News for thought-provoking, playful commentary.
It's usually funny.
Like he's said before, it varies from day to day, and it's always entertaining.
My Minute of News, it puts a smile on my face.
If you have a minute, you need to catch Jeff's Minute. My Minute of News, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
We were living in a townhome, renting at the time. We were ready to own our own house. Once we found a realtor, a world of possibilities opened up to us. We found a house that we really wanted, but we thought at first that it might be out of our price range, that we couldn't afford it. Our realtor was able to introduce us to state programs that help first-time home buyers, such as a state grant and state help to lower the interest rate. In the end, she made it possible so that we could buy a home.
Let an experienced realtor guide you. Go to myrealtorstory.com.
You know how they always used to ask you in grade school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I bet I'm the only kid who ever stood proud and said, I want to be a rain gutter or siding installer. Jim Jr. here with RGS Exteriors, and man, I can still remember all those wannabe astronauts and quarterbacks looking at me like I was an idiot. Who would want to install rain gutters or siding? Somebody who is a fourth generation in business. That's who. My great-grandfather, T.R. Brown, started the company in the 50s. Then my grandfather took over from him, then my dad, Tim Sr., and now I've been at the helm since 2005. Every day I wake up and think, man, I'm living the dream. And now my own kids are starting to work in the business too. 5 generations. If you want gutters, siding, windows, or any exteriors on your home, and a company that really cares deep down to our souls, give RGS a call. 801-280-3110 or find us online, rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com. 801-280-3110, rgsutah.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. A Utah veteran had been trying for months to get his VA benefits after the federal government deemed him dead. But he wasn't. He was very much alive. So he turned to Get Gephardt for help.
A Payson veteran has been declared dead, but as you're about to see, he's not. And when he couldn't get the government to fix the issue, he decided to get Gephardt. Matt?
Debbie Deeney, on top of this being kind of weird, it's also an expensive problem. If you are not alive, you do not get benefits. Ironically, the very same types of benefits that a person needs to live. Meet Craig Haskell, a Utah National Guard veteran. Sure, Craig may look very much alive, but actually, he's dead. At least so declares the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
Horrible mistakes that just need to be corrected.
Yeah, the VA says Craig died last November, and a certificate signed by President Trump honoring his memory even showed up in the mail. This has all been a costly mistake.
The pension benefits and all those are gone.
No pension, no disability benefits. Craig says he is owed more than $10,000 and counting.
I started making phone calls and meetings with VA people to try to get things resolved.
Despite 5 months of affidavits, calls, and in-person meetings, Craig says his VA benefits have not been resurrected. And that's even after sending in this obituary for another Utah veteran named Craig Haskell. That veteran died on November 22nd, 2024. Same name, same alleged death date. I mean, it seems like bad data entry could be the cause of our Craig's demise.
Somebody hurrying too fast to do their job.
Still not able to get the mistake corrected, Craig tapped me in. So the KSL investigators reached out to the VA on Craig's behalf. We heard back from a spokesperson the very next day who told us that Craig's benefits were turned back on that very morning. Oh no, we were told it had nothing to do with our inquiry. After Craig fighting for 5 months on his own and getting nowhere, his benefits just happened to be turned back on the day after we called, we were told. The VA also sent a statement saying that retroactive payments are still being assessed and they regret the error and they apologize. So now, even though he never stopped breathing, Craig can breathe easier. Still, he says it should not have taken 5 months.
To me, it should be a 30-day deal.
The VA says the average decision on a claim takes them 131 and a half days. Craig's fight for his benefits took nearly 150 days. If you got a problem you can't solve, give me a shot at it. The number on your screen there, 385-707-6153, or you can email me, matt@ksl.com.
And again, if you're into issues, you need help from the KSL Investigates team, you can call or text them at 385-707-6153. In other news, graduation is looming for many high schoolers, just as a new report comes out highlighting the 10 worst paying college degrees. According to the report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, foreign languages, performing arts, and social sciences are among the worst paying college majors. With that in mind, Utah schools are working to make sure that students have the information needed to make the best choices post-high school. Scott Bell with the Granite School District says that they make sure that students have at least one session with a counselor and that their parents every year to talk about careers and classes and the realities of different career paths.
We start in 7th grade with our students. Actually, in many of our junior highs, they start in 6th grade. But our standard is that every student has at least one annual career readiness meeting, or CCRP is what we call them, but college career readiness meeting with their counselor, and parents are invited and they sit down and discuss what they're thinking from a career standpoint. They also talk about possible classes. So obviously, it starts to evolve as a student from 6th grade and 7th grade. It might be more broad, probably a little bit more at that macro level of kind of just exploration and areas and ideas. But then as they go more and more through their schooling into junior high and then into high school, that field is getting a little bit more targeted or more specific. And also, hey, I mean, I think most of us probably changed quite a bit from 6th grade to 12th grade. So what's important to me at 6th grade is probably different by 12th grade. So it allows us also to help that student to recalibrate and to adjust their plan as they're going forward. And it also ties then to when they're registering for classes or selecting classes, they're more skilled or able to be more deliberate in their course selection.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pediatrician. We see how that worked out. Bell says some of the more traditional college majors, especially those in biological science, computer science, and healthcare, remain popular. But he says some of the more technical programs have grown in popularity too.
We still see a lot of students having interest in some of the traditional areas of being physicians, especially pediatrics seems to be quite popular. Marine biology is also another science-strong area. Computer sciences is certainly very popular. I would say those are probably the highest as far as in the areas of college career directions. Engineering, I would also include in there. As far as our technical programs, our welding is quite popular. We have a lot of students taking welding as well as the medical assistance. Pharmacy tech is big. We have students that take classes in HVAC, in electrical. So they could be working on getting background in those trades and then working towards getting their own licenses in those trades. Another area is working with carbon fibers. That's a growing field, so you can get background and knowledge and certification in manufacturing tech. So those are some of those that I see a lot of students taking classes in.
Bell says there are so many different life choices nowadays.
The wide range of opportunities that students have to have access to opportunities to look at, hey, am I wanting to be focused in academic tracks such as AP and CE classes or concurrent enrollment, or also if I want to take some classes that are more along the lines of getting some tech endorsements or some experiences that are going to help me be prepared to go into the workforce. And a combination. It's not like you have to choose one or the other. They have the ability to be individualized. Their plans and their choices can be individualized to their interest and to their pursuit to help them make decisions that are going to help them be prepared for when they are going into the workforce and or academic opportunities. And just would highlight that emphasis that we have through our school counselors to meet with the students annually as they help them to develop their plans and work towards their goals for their future to graduate with a plan for ongoing technical training or education to prepare them to being able to go into the workforce and be able to be successful.
He says the district also has been helping students figure out ways to save money as they do pursue their college degrees.
Certainly, we'd want to encourage students to increase their pursuits of what their aptitudes are. Hey, you have a great aptitude in sciences. You may want to consider that, and these are some professions in that area. That certainly would be encouraged. And, as students look at AP and concurrent enrollment opportunities, we do have students that graduate in our district with an associate's degree. We also have a number of students that do their one-year certificate, basically meaning that their generals are done, 1 year equivalent of their first year of college. So it helps them along those ways. That does mean that, hey, if I'm a student that does AP chemistry, for example, and I go more into a social sciences field, I may not have to take a chemistry class when I go to college. But it also does make things more affordable if I can get some concurrent enrollment classes. There's less courses I have to take when I go to college as well. So it can help with some of those high costs.
Scott Bell is with the Granite School District talking about the many options for students. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. A more dangerous wildfire season expected this summer. Comments from Arizona leaders dissing Utah sports on air. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Back to a crash-free commute. Looking good on the freeways. Some busy and slow traffic north and southbound State Street at about 12th South. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A vote on the sweeping reconciliation package stalled in a committee. President Trump meeting with members of the Freedom Caucus. Still holdouts on the latest version. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more.
President Trump has made it clear he wants this legislation passed quickly. He wants minimal last-minute tweaks to this bill to get it over the goal line. And Speaker Johnson has been even more clear that he wants this bill on the floor potentially as soon as tonight. But if it were to go to the floor right now, those hardliners still haven't given it their support.
President Trump earlier welcomed South Africa's president to the White House ahead of bilateral talks. The president also made unsupported claims of mass killings of white South Africans. Americans are expected to drive in record numbers this Memorial Day. Gas prices for the holiday will be the lowest in more than 2 decades. Gas Buddy estimates a gallon of regular will average $3.08 a gallon. This is ABC News.
We do have breaking news. A new civil lawsuit accuses BYU quarterback Jake Retzloff of rape and assault inside his home. The anonymous woman who filed the complaint says that she reported what happened to Provo police but was too intimidated at the time to name Retzloff. Now, she claims she eventually gave his name to police after they asked again because there had been another accusation against a football player. She wants punitive damages. A second person has been arrested in the deadly shooting that happened at Kearns High School early Sunday morning. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has been looking over the arrest documents.
The second suspect is an 18-year-old identified as Tesfaye Shabi, and police say he was one of 2 people who got out of a car with guns and ski masks and went after this guy selling champagne out of his car's trunk. This all happened about 2 a.m. outside Kearns High School. Police say the seller grabbed a gun from his car. Shots were fired. One of the alleged robbers went down. The driver of the suspect's car, Brandon Hollins, he's also 18 and was arrested on Monday. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Unified Fire Authority has arrested a 38-year-old woman in a suspected arson in Magna. Investigators believe that Alexis Crumback started a fire in the room that she was renting at 27th West and 91st South. This officials say that she had threatened to burn down the house after she gets out of jail, so she is being held without bail. Other local stories KSL is following. A crash early this morning on northbound I-15 in Leeds led to a second crash involving a street sweeper called in to clean up the debris. Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cam Roden says a stolen truck flipped over the concrete barrier on southbound I-15, leaving a lot of debris to be swept up.
A vehicle was approaching the street sweeper and ended up hitting that and then veering to the right where it was hit in the passenger side by another northbound vehicle.
Roden says a Nissan car hit the street sweeper. The driver of that car is in critical condition. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow closed the day down by 816 points, nearly 2%, sitting at 41,860. S&P 500 down by 95, and the NASDAQ down by 270 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crash-free and delay-free on all our valley freeways. Our main secondary is in pretty good shape, but we do have some slowing. It could be either direction of Pioneer Crossing around those intersections between I-15 and Saratoga Road. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Forecast calls for us to hit a high of 72 degrees today, up to 84 degrees tomorrow and 81 on Friday. For the weekend, we'll be in the 70s with a 20% chance of rain on Saturday. 66 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's all to 321-321.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. and he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money. But do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At Capital Wealth Advisors, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the Capital Wealth Advisors team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 801-210-5500. That's 801-210-5500. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Utah's fire season is quickly approaching, and officials are warning us to take steps to prevent this year from being worse than usual. Joel Ferry, the director of the Department of Natural Resources, says historically more than half of Utah's wildfires have been caused by humans.
Those fires are caused by vehicles, by campfires, by trailers, ag burns, firearms, all sorts of different things, and just one spark is all it takes, and one spark is too many. That's why the Fire Sense focuses on everyday decisions, from things like properly dousing our campfires to checking the tires and the chains on your trailer, and being aware of things like red flag conditions. So today is the official kickoff and the season of fire season. We're kicking off now. We have our partners from the federal, state, and local agencies to share one common message, and that message is that we all have a role in wildfire prevention. Let's stay safe, let's stay aware, and let's use good fire sense.
Governor Spencer Cox says it takes local, state, and federal resources to fight the growing number of wildfires in our state. He says he worries that Utahns have become complacent about fire danger because of all the wet weather.
It's hard to think about wildfire when it literally just snowed a couple days ago. There's still snow in the mountains. It's cool outside. The valley's green. It looks amazing, but if you look at the forecast, we're headed that direction. It's going to be dry and hot coming up very quickly, and it does turn very quickly. And so we've already had some big wildfires in our state. Well, not big. They were little because we got on them, but could have been big wildfires. So we need people to be especially careful right now. I think it was an important reminder when we saw what happened in California last year. I just returned from California this morning and had conversations with some of the people who were involved back there with the wildfires. Still devastating. There are still places in California where you can't drive, you can't enter unless you have a special card because you have property there, because of the devastation. Thousands of people who lost their homes, dozens of people who lost their lives, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen here. But let me assure you that it could happen here if we're not careful.
Even with our recent wet weather, Basil Nubrzinski with the Great Basin Predictive Services says some areas, especially in southern Utah, have drought conditions and carryover fuels from previous fire seasons that are ripe for wildfires.
I often get a question, comes up every year. It's like, hey, it's been really dry. It's been drought, so we're going to have a bad fire season, right? And the answer to that is, yeah. And then I get the other folks, usually from the lower elevations, and they're like, hey, we had a really wet winter. We're going to have a big grass crop, and when it dries out, we're going to have a really bad fire season, right? And the answer to that is a yes also. So we have to qualify it a little bit. When we have large-scale drought over the winter that affects our snowpack, has lower than normal snowpack, that directly affects the middle to higher elevations, our heavier fuels, our timbered areas, and the general consensus is that the drier things are and also the lower the snowpack in the higher elevations, the quicker that ground becomes exposed to the free air when the snow melts, the quicker it dries out, the more susceptible it is to lightning strikes when lightning does occur. If it's been too dry for too long, if we're in the second or third year of drought, then what happens is we don't get much of a fine fuel crop. So although we might have a bad fire season up in the higher terrain, the lower elevations, sometimes in the grasses, just not enough grass to continuously burn. We are still wrestling with this a little bit. We have a kind of a unique situation. It's been a very dry winter in our southern areas where you see those drought conditions, especially those reds and darker reds. But we had some really wet years the last 2 years with above average snowpack, above average precipitation. So although there might not be as much new grass this year, we have what's called carryover fuels, other various types of grasses and brush that might have grown from the wetness from 12 to 36 months ago that's still out there. So we are looking at all of that. And then finally, what is the weather going to do over the next couple of weeks and climatically over the next couple of months? So the first month that we're looking at now is June. We don't have any concerns for May right now, but for June, we have been advertising above normal fire potential for far southern Utah, also extends into the northern Arizona Strip, which is also part of our forecast area. It is primarily for the middle to higher elevations, although there are pockets of good carryover fuel even in the lower elevations. We've been gotten a bit of a blessing in disguise the last couple of days and last week or two with some of these cool weather patterns coming in, some showers. So it's delayed things a little bit. So it doesn't mean that things are going to start right away. June 1st, we're going to see above normal fires breaking out all over the place. But sometime maybe June 7th, June 10th, we should see fire activity, and it should be, has a good chance of being higher than what it normally is that time of year. If we go to July, these wet weather patterns that we've been getting that have actually been buying us a little bit of time, not allowing things to dry out, it's actually a mixed blessing. It's good in the short term, but that kind of a weather pattern leads to an eventual delay of the monsoonal formation of the Four Corners High. So if we get one or two more cold fronts and some showers and cool temperatures and not the 90 and 100 degree weather that we normally get in southern Utah through the end of May and early June, that could delay the onset of the monsoon. But we are pretty certain that at least into the first half of July, the southern areas of the middle and higher elevations will have some fire issues, and maybe some of the lower elevations too with the good carryover fuels. Now the rest of the map is normal, and normal in July for the rest of Utah is tens of thousands of acres burning. That's normal. So we feel that as we get into July and into August, where August is normal, August is a very busy time of year for the northern half of the state. So it looks like the way things are staged, definitely looking at a really good potential for a much busier fire season than we've had the last 2 or 3 years.
That means the Director of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, Jamie Barnes, is urging us to use our fire sense.
Nice remarks. Utah is home to some of the world's most breathtaking landscapes. Red rock deserts, thousands of acres of forested land, and vast open spaces. But with that comes responsibility. As we head into another fire season, our top priority is clear: preventing unwanted wildfires before they start. We can't control lightning, but we can control sparks from vehicles, target shooting, campfires, and more. That's what Fire Sense is all about, and that's why we're here today. Awareness, preparation, and smart decision making. When we act with Fire Sense, we protect lives, we protect property, and we protect the places that we love. In 2024, Utah had more active wildfire season than in 2023 and 2022. 57% of the wildfires were human-caused, a big improvement from 77% before Fire Sense began. That's progress, but we are not done. We cannot become complacent. 4 of the 5 largest wildfires last year in Utah were preventable. The best way to stop a catastrophic fire is to prevent it from starting in the first place. So what does a successful fire season look for us here in Utah? Few large wildfires sparked by people, communities that are prepared and ready for wildfire. More Utahns are using their fire sense, especially on hot, dry, and windy days. Clear, coordinated messaging from every agency, from local districts to our federal partners, and it takes all of us working together to keep Utah safe. So here's what we can do right now, today, and again, the reasons that we're here. Before you light a campfire, check for restrictions in your area. Make sure that you can have a campfire. And before you leave, put it out. Completely douse it, stir, and repeat until it's close to touch. Before you take the family out on your next big adventure, make sure your trailer is secure, that the chains are they're not dragging, and make sure any worn tires, brakes are with the vehicle in maintenance. Utah's leading the cause of human-caused wildfires and vehicle roadside starts in a good way by reducing them. Before you target shoot, pick a safe backdrop. Never shoot near rocks or dry vegetation. Exploding targets, remember, are not allowed on public lands. Please, before you head out, fireproof your fun.
Forecasters predict that with the dry, hot conditions on the way in the next couple of months, we can't afford to be complacent. Coming up, I'll tell you about a new kind of swap meet helping Utah's small business owners. But first, let's check traffic. Brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Delays on I-15 in both directions in Murray. On the northbound side, we have an accident at the south interchange. It's been moved to the right, but backing traffic into Midvale. And southbound I-15, we have an accident, or maybe it's a disabled vehicle, blocking a right lane of travel southbound I-15 after 53rd South, and that's also causing some delays. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife. An excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Looking for a university that offers more than just a degree? Welcome to Utah Tech University in St. George, Utah, one of the fastest growing universities in the nation. With more than 300 academic programs, 300 days of sunshine, the most engaged student life in the state, and Utah's most affordable university tuition, Utah Tech is where opportunity meets value. Utah Tech's Polytechnic mission means you'll gain real-world skills through internships, mentorships, partnerships, and hands-on learning that gets you career-ready from day one. And the nation is taking notice. Utah Tech was recently named one of the country's most prestigious universities, driving student success and career growth, ranked 21st in the nation for value, and recognized as one of 10 prominent universities to watch. Come see why students are thriving at Utah Tech, where it's all about active learning, active life. Visit utahtech.edu today and start your journey.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to KSLkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at KSLkids.com.
Summer is almost here. It's time to get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Hey there. You're looking good. My name is Corey Sulian. My wife and I began our Soda weight loss journey on January 20th of this year. We have seen some amazing results. I have lost 59.4 pounds. My wife lost 30.3 pounds, and we feel great.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I love Soda weight loss. Thank you for helping to change our lives. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to lose weight or get healthy.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
A new effort is underway to bring a swap meet back to Salt Lake City after the Redwood Road swap meet closed last year. But organizers are hoping to bring the swap meet spirit back with a fresh city-style twist. Kickback in the City is a new monthly event at the Granary Live that blends food, music, and shopping with a purpose to give small vendors a fresh stage. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera spoke with the founder, Dave Rivas.
It's just really about engaging with the proper groups. Luckily, the lowriders, the lowrider community is very big here in Salt Lake City. So I feel like, with these vendors being on site and then the lowrider community being there, they could see and, network, because a lot of the lowrider community are older people, they don't really engage too much on social media. And so I think they could all, collide and then, buy a whole bunch of, leather belts, hoodies, pro club, etc., things like that. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to get the whole community involved. So I think it could be just a great opportunity for both, parties, people who are looking to shop or, small business owners that, like to sell those things.
Rivas says he wants to give the event a vibe that he found during his childhood in Southern California.
I grew up the swap meets, and some of the swap meets have music and bands or, whatever it is, from Hispanic culture to Black culture, anything West Coast related. It's always stuck behind my back. Every time I go back to California, I love to go back to these swap meets where there's just so many activations, the community gets involved and, vendors, and cool things, especially in this era right now, everyone likes to get posters, it seems like we're living the Y2K again, just in the modern day. And then, as a DJ here, throwing events, I've always wanted to do an event, but with vendors, I just really want to incorporate music, live music, from DJs. It's one thing listening to a band and then a DJ with edits.
So that means Sundays this summer at Granary Live just got a little louder and a lot more local.
The space is really nice. I consider it still downtown. You could still see the downtown buildings, but it's not as big, but we're trying to do maybe just like kind of like a smaller version of it. And the outside, we're not like reviewing applications or anything. It's pretty much first come, first serve on the outside part. I wanted to have that swap meet feel, because at the swap meet, you know, you just have to show up early, get in line, pay your spot, and that's it. Inside, we're going to go a little bit more premium. You know, we want to have activations, and we want to coordinate it, you know, to make it an experience. So we will be reviewing applications on the inside part. But, you know, the Granary has really, it's a really nice outdoor venue. They have turf. They have porta potties everywhere set up. They have beer gardens. So really, you know, it's just like the experience that I think hasn't hit Utah yet. The swap meet was its own experience, but this is like, I'm trying to like revamp, or if anything, just add my little drizzle to the swap meets. And so we're just trying to do different acts, you know, different DJs. This first one is nothing but locals, but the remaining 3 on the series, we're looking to book talent. You know, we're trying to get everything finalized to, you know, start releasing some of the talents to make it worthwhile.
Rivas hopes that his new take on the swap meet will fill the hole left behind when the Redwood swap meet ended.
At the end of the day, I want to do this for the community. Utah needs some excitement when it comes to culture, you know, going back to an experience and building something together with every vendor that signs up, you know, this summer, and just be excited for every day, every Sunday.
Okay, and here's a story that you have to hear on Midday with Maria Shilaos. The inaugural season of Utah's new hockey team exceeded even the NHL commissioner's expectations in everything from fan attendance to just the overall presentation of the team. But sports fans in Arizona, where the team used to play, are still upset about the move, and now they're worried that Utah might have an eye on their Major League Baseball team, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Here's audio from our sister station, KTAR, that we think you want to hear, where the Arizona Chamber of Commerce president and CEO, Danny Seaton, went on the air to plead for support of using public funds to renovate their Major League stadium.
Utah is being very aggressive. Oregon's being very aggressive. They're passing legislation to, $800, $600 million to pay for a new baseball stadium. That's not anything what the Diamondbacks are looking for. They're looking for some recapture of income generated that they can bond off of. The team will put way more in, hundreds of millions of dollars more in than any public dollars will go into to keep that asset here. I mean, if we're not careful, we're going to see that the Arizona Diamondbacks become the Utah Pika or whatever awful animal they'll change it to. Like they took our Coyotes and turned them into the Mastodon elephants.
Is that what it is? The Mastodons?
It's something terrible. I don't even want to say it. It's
the mammoths.
It hurts my heart. Some Utah nonsense. I'm very pro Arizona here. So we can't allow that to happen to the D-backs. We know Derek Hall. We know how hard he's working to keep it here. And I think, again, the mayor's coming around.
Did he say we'd call them the Utah Peacocks? The Big League Utah organization led by the Miller family has been pushing Major League Baseball to get an expansion team or potentially buy a team if one becomes available. Jeff Kaplan has joined me in the studio, and I think they're a little upset with Utah. What do you think?
The Peacocks wasn't on the list, was it, for any of these teams?
Not for anybody. But he got his dig in there, and then calling the Mammoth the Mastodon. Ouch.
Sore losers. That's all.
Sore losers. I think he's really trying to get support there in Arizona to make sure that they don't lose the Diamondbacks. So it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes.
Well, that's one baseball team we'd accept, right?
Right. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next. Thanks for joining me today.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.